Hi guys, welcome to Code Bashers. Guys, in this video, I will be discussing the Capgemini interview experience of a selected candidate. This interview happened on 2nd December 2021. So guys, make sure that you watch this video till the end because many Capgemini interviews are coming up and you must be prepared for the same. Guys, I have made a lot of Capgemini interview experiences on my channel. You can watch all those interview experiences under this playlist, that is Capgemini Analyst Interview Experience 2021-2022. I will give the link of this video in the description box or in the I button. Make sure to visit it. As well as guys, I have started my blog channel and I am posting interview experiences on my blog also. I will give the link of this blog also in the description box. Make sure to visit it. Here you can see till now 2 Capgemini interview experiences have been posted and more will be posted in future. So all the links in the description box. Make sure that if you are preparing for the Capgemini interview, you first watch all the videos on my channel and then on my blog also you can read the interview experiences. So guys, now let's start this video, and before starting the video, please hit the like button as well as the subscribe button for this channel. Okay, so guys, the date of the interview was 2nd December 2021. The branch of my friend was CSC. The duration of the entire interview was 25 minutes. And guys, this interview experience of a selected candidate, as I have mentioned in the starting of the video, that this candidate has been selected. So make sure that you watch all the questions which were asked from him. Okay. So first question was, he asked me to explain my project in detail. So guys, this project related questions are very important for interviews. You must be thorough with your project. You must at least mention at least one project in your resume, or you can mention any certification also, and you will have to explain that certification or the project in detail, that how you have done these things and what all technology you used, what were the challenges you faced, how you overcome those challenges, what is the future scope of that project. All these things you will have to explain to the interviewer. And guys, if you do not know that how you will have to explain your project in the interview, I have made a separate video on my channel in which I have discussed that how you have to explain your projects in detail. So I will give the video link in the description box and in the I button. Make sure to visit it. Okay, now the next question was, what are the constructors and its type? Now guys, constructors in C++ are of 3 types. First one is default constructor. The syntax is given right below this. You can see class name. Only we have to give the class name and do nothing else. Next type of constructors are parameter constructors. That is, we know that the name of the constructor is similar to the name of the class, but in parameterized constructor, what do we do? We simply pass the parameters in the constructor. Okay, next one is the copy constructor. Again, the name of the constructor is same to the class, and in this copy constructor, in parameters, what we do, we simply pass the object of that class only, through which we have to copy the values. So I hope these 3 types of constructors are clear to you. And in Java, there are only 2 types of constructor, default and parameterized. There is no copy constructor in Java. So I hope this question is clear to you. Next is, what is the difference between call by reference and call by value? Guys, this is the most commonly asked question in an interview. They generally ask that what is the difference between call by reference and call by value. So first of all, call by value. A call by value, a copy of actual parameter is passed into the formal parameters. Next is call by reference. Reference of actual parameters is passed into the foreign parameters. What it means, see, whenever we call a function, we pass parameters into it. In call by value, we pass the value, but in call by reference, we pass the address of the variables. Now in call by value, whenever we do certain changes in the function to the variables value that we have passed, that changes are not reflected in the main function. But in call by reference, since we are passing the address of the variables, so any change that has been done in the function in which we have passed the values by reference, that change is reflected also in the main function, that is the calling function also. So I hope these differences are clear to you in call by reference and call by value. These are very important differences in these things. Okay. Now moving to the next question, that is, differentiate the classic waterfall model and iterative model. So guys, this question is from the SC, that is software engineering subject. So these type of questions are also asked in interviews. Many of you just only study OOPS and DBMS, but you should also study the software engineering concepts also. Like, you should be thorough with all the life cycle models. They can be directly asked in the interviews. So guys, for this purpose only, I have made a separate video on my channel in which I have discussed the most commonly asked questions from software engineering subject. So I will give that video link in the I button on the description box. Make sure to watch that video before your interviews, because there are in that video I have discussed the commonly asked questions. So if you do not want to study the entire subject, just watch the video and just practice the questions that I have discussed in that video. Okay. Next are what are the types of integrity constraints in DBMS. So, and explain them. So first of all, there are many types of constraints, but the major constraints are not null. If a column has been given a not null constraint, that means the values in that column cannot be null. They can be anything but not null. Okay, next is unique constraint. So all these constraints we will be talking about. These constraints are given to a particular column. Now if we give a column a unique key constraint, it means that all the values in that column should be unique. They can be null, but they should be unique. No two values must be same in that column. Next is primary key. Primary key is nothing but addition of not null plus unique key. That means primary key cannot be null, as well as all the values inside that primary key column should be unique. So I hope this is clear to you. Check constraint. Now check constraint is the constraint that is given to a column in which we have to check whether the values entered are correct or not. So let's just see an example. If we have a column name, just see column name age, and we will give a check constraint, check age greater than 18. So it means that inside this age column we can only enter the age which are greater than 18, only enter the values which are greater than 18. So if we will enter 9 in such column, that will give us the error. So this is what a check constraint is. It checks whether the given value matches the condition we have specified after check constraint or not. So I hope this question is also clear to you. Okay, so the next question is explain the stack, push and pop function. So guys, here is a stack. Here is a stack. Now let's suppose it contains certain values. So 1 is present and 2 is present. So what is the push operation? Push means that we are inserting values inside a stack. So let's just suppose we have now inserted 3 inside the stack. So our new stack will look like this. That is 1, 2 and now 3. So this was a push operation in which we add the items. In push operation we add items in stack. Now let's just see the pop operation. So again we have this stack 1, 2, 3. Now pop means that we remove the items from the stack, and we can only remove the topmost element from the stack only. So this is a pop operation. So now once we have done the pop operation, then our remaining stack will be 1 and 2. So pop means remove top element from stack. Remove top element from stack. So these were the push and pop functions, or you can say operation in stack, and how we perform them. I hope this is clear to you. Now next question is, what is self in Python? So guys, most of you know Python, and self represents the instance of the class. By using self keyword, we can access the attributes and methods of the class in Python. It binds the attributes with the given arguments. So let's just suppose we have a function in Python, def let's say help is the function, help function, and the first argument in this function will always be self, and next will be the argument that we will be passing. Let's suppose we are passing age. So this age, this value contains, this age argument contains value as 18. So let's just suppose it is this. Now in this function, what we can do, we will be assigning self dot age is equivalent to age. Now let's just see what this is. See, self dot age means now this age is the variable of a class. This age has now become the variable of a class. Now, and this age on the right side becomes the argument that we have passed. So now this is the class variable, self dot age is the class variable, and this age is that is we have passed as an argument. So I hope this thing is clear to you. We can you can say that we have now updated our value of age, class variables age, to this age that we have passed. So I hope this thing is clear to you. This is what a self is. Okay, now the next question and the last question of this video is, what is the difference between list and tuple? So guys, in any interviews, if Python related questions are asked from you, then there will be questions from list and tuple, difference between list and tuple. So first of all, lists are mutable and tuples are immutable. Now what is the meaning of list? So this is a list 1, 2, 3. Now let's just suppose the name of this list is L. Now we can do, in list we can do Li is equivalent to 4. So you can say L of 0 is equivalent to 4. So now our list will become now our new list will become 4, 2, 3, because we have updated the 0th value to 4. This is the mutation, that is we can change the list at any particular time. Now let's just see if we have a tuple. Tuple is 1, 2, 3. Now we perform same thing with tuple. T of 0 is equivalent to 4. So this will be wrong. That is, we cannot change the tuple's value once it is formed. So it means that lists are mutable, it can be changed, and tuples are immutable, that they cannot be changed. So I hope this thing is clear to you. And one more thing, lists are comparatively slow and tuples are fast. The main reason between slow and fast is that I have told you that list can be changed, so lists are mutable, therefore they are slow, but tuples are immutable, that is, once they are formed they cannot be changed, so therefore they are fast. So I hope these particular things are clear to you, the difference between list and tuple.